that occurs. So that good carries from the humanities through the skills, through the technologies. It's a wonderful, wonderful venue. So I learned whatever I was going to learn at Lane Community College, and I was able to use that when I came back to Wyoming to work for Tim Ailey. And when I went to the University of Wyoming, I keep getting this distinguished thing here, I actually had a card finally when I went there that said Vice President for Development, Alumni Relations, and University Relations, and Distinguished Professor of Political Science. And I showed it to Dad. He was still alive. I said, "What do you think of that, Dad?" You know, how about that, huh? And Dad said, "Well, it's nice you got steady work." Well, I'll tell you, I don't know how much more of this history I need to confide in you, but in fact, I don't even know where I am in this damn thing right now. Oh, I do want to say, yes, the Wyoming Community College system, when I was in it back in the 60s, was starting new enough that there was a lot of turmoil. And I think that Russ Hansen, who was the director of the executive director of the Community College Commission at that time, must have felt more like a diplomat, because negotiating between these colleges for redundant programs, for the potential for consolidation, for some sort of a distribution of some of those state funds, was kind of like negotiating peace between Palestine and Israel. It was a tough, tough undertaking. So, and I can remember the horse. Do you still have a horse program here? Well, Sheridan doesn't. And there's a reason. You got it. And that was a consolidation that made all kinds of sense, and I couldn't have been more grateful. I was dean of instruction up in Sheridan College, and Val, what's his name, drove me crazy. He was the horse guy, and he was in my office all the time, and he was complaining, you know. It's language was developed to satisfy the human being's deep-seated need to complain. And this guy was all over that all the time. And finally, when I heard that they might consolidate the program, Val came in the office and said, "What are you going to do about that? That's terrible." And what am I going to do? And I said, "Move to Cheyenne." I don't know whether you got him or not, but anyhow, well, here, so now, in 1976, I had the pleasure, I'm still recollecting here, my heavens, what an exciting life. Anyhow, 1976 was when the state legislature authorized, by virtue of a backdoor bill, an upper division at Casper, University of Wyoming, Casper College, upper division, because of the ferment, speaking of ferment, the turmoil, the absolute insistence of Casper College to go 4 years, because they had so many people who were banked up in the educational system there who could not get a 4-year degree simply by virtue of distance, family circumstances, the kinds of things that interfere all the time. And to meet that pressure, which had been building for years, they put together this upper division. And it worked at the faculty level. I was the first coordinator of that upper division. I had an office and I had a secretary, and that was the staff. And the faculty from the university and the faculty from Casper College, we went on a retreat at the old Diamond Ranch up there. And we stayed there for 3 days. We didn't shoot each other. We didn't argue with each other. We found out what faculty, what teachers know. We want to serve students. And we're going to do that whatever the political or administrative difficulties are in the way. So because the faculty was absolutely annealed, fused, the administration followed suit, and I have to hand it to Tim Ailey, whose dream was a four-year college. He had to drop the dream, and he cooperated. He not only cooperated, he collaborated. There's a difference. I've always used a metaphor on that. Cooperation in a circus act, a high wire act, a trapeze act, is climbing the pole with your partner. Collaboration is when you let go of the trapeze and have the other guy catch your hands. That's trust. You have to trust people. I think here at this school, one of the things that I think has been wonderful is the trust the corporate world has in this institution. I see a wind energy program. I see health sciences programs. I see medical stenography. I see physical therapy. I see things that you have to have some trust with those who have those professions and work in those corporations. I see trust between the community colleges themselves. And happily enough, praise be, praise the Lord. The university and the community colleges comprise, as I remember, the only state system that has common course numbering. This is the only place that happens. We have to be proud of that. That works out very well for all of us. So collaboration and cooperation has been the order of the day. That doesn't mean, let me tell you, it does not mean that we don't maintain independence, that we don't have individual programs, that we don't have unique needs and unique resources. In fact, I'll tell you, we have to, I like this. This is clear at the end of the darn speech. This is terrific. We have to remain independent, but of one accord. I got to read this. It's too good. We have to be in control, but able to cohere. We have to plan ahead, but no others must do the same. And we have to know where we're going, but acknowledge there are 6 other roads that will get us there. And I think we're doing that, and I'm proud of that circumstance. I think it's really a powerful sort of a thing that we can claim, that we can brag about. Now, you know, we all have the admonition, we can't do it all. We're not supposed to be able to do it all. Remember, you can't do everything for everybody. Or as my grandfather says, can't tell you how to succeed, but I can tell you how to fail. Try to please everybody. In this particular case, I'm going to be a gainsayer. Because while that's true, it's also true that nationwide we serve more first generation, more part-time, more non-traditional, more low income, more minority, and more female students than any other type of public or private higher education institution in America. And, yeah, that was, hell yes. I like that. Yeah, I like that. You bet. And if we don't do that, in the face of accountability questions, in the face of completion issues, in the face of funding problems, if we don't do that, then the end result will almost certainly be greater social and economic inequality nationwide. And we can ill afford to have that happen. Now, there's one other item that I was going to talk about, but I'm not going to do it. And I don't know where we are in time, but I'm going to pull this to an end because I think we need to talk if we have a chance. To be fearless, I always tell my class, you know, be fearless. You know, jump up, say something, and then when somebody says, God, that's stupid, sit down, don't say anything else. No. Well, you know, well, anyhow, I want to acknowledge the fact that we have that system intact, but most of all, to remind ourselves of the mission. And I mentioned it at the outset. The excitement of this year's new beginning. What is it Shakespeare says? Nature's second course. You know, the chief nourisher of life's feast, the second chance to help the single mom with new ways to cope, the family man on the edge of poverty, some daughters or sons of immigrants, some kids just out of high school, some stop-outs, dropouts, whiz kids, go-getters, dumb nuts. I'll tell you, it's terrific. I retired 2 years ago. I'm going to tell you, I miss it. I envy you this new beginning. So, when I think of the future for you, and I think then of the inscription on the portico of the great cathedral at Notre Dame in the 17th century, which said, "The world tomorrow will belong to those that bring us the greatest hope." You are the bringers of hope. Godspeed. Hey. Thank you. Thank you very much. Al, my brother used to say, "I hate it when they stand up, so many escape."
Pete, before you sit down, we're going to get our money's worth out of you. Wait, we didn't pay you anything, did we? Too much?
Not a damn red cent, is it?
We are frugal community college administrators.
I approve of it.
I do. We do have some time, and so before we let Pete completely get rid of that mic, are there questions, comments, things? We have a brilliant mind here, even if the synapses aren't quite firing like we want them to be.
That's right.
I'm going to try to use that excuse. But let's use them. So, Ed.
Hi, Ed.
Hi, Mr. Simpson.
Hi.
Really appreciate your being here today. I just wondered, since you have a little bit of time, a little bit of experience with community colleges, if you could see forward as to what we might, what you might think about the expansion of campuses, where we have our Albany County campus. Sheridan College, of course, has their Gillette campus. CWC works heavily in Jackson and so forth. What might you see as a future or a way to approach that to help serving those students?
Well, you know, was in Sheridan College as Dean of Instruction when Gillette campus was not just a seed in the mind of Gordon Ward, who was the president of the college. We had a welding program over there. We had a coal field technology program over there. So did Casper. But the demand in Gillette was for a full-blown college experience at least the 2-year level. So you get that kind of pressure, and then in the Community College Commission itself, the tendency was to say, let's not create another administrative structure. Let's make a, quote, branch. It almost sounds like the early days of the university making centers around the state. And to an extent, that's a fair analogy. Will Gillette become a full-blown campus called Gillette Community College? Will the expansion in Laramie become, probably not for many, many, many years, but there's always the potential, if there is the resource, and that's the big bugbear. If communities are ready to pass mill levies, that's a toughie. If the private institutions and private givers get enthused, want to be a part of it, those prospects are there. How's that going to happen? Well, it's like an old friend of mine, Johnny Davis, who was a musician. He loved music, and he invited Spyro Gyra. Some of you may remember that little jazz outfit. You'd have to be red-headed and gray to remember that. To come to Laramie, and he lost $18,000 of the city's money, and because nobody came, and he was dancing at the program out there on the mall of the university. And I said, Johnny, holy cats, why are you dancing with this big loss? He said, because I know the secret. I know what we need. It's simple. All we need is people and money. That's it. We don't have many people. And, you know, I don't know how many footprints the planet can stand, but I'll tell you, we can probably stand quite a few more here in Wyoming. I don't know whether that's a good answer for you.
Thank you. Very good.
You bet.
Other questions?
Well, thank you. If you're not going to stand up again, I'll go sit down. Thank you.
Oh, Pete.
I loved it.
We're not going to let you get away completely empty-handed here, so at least I might have you open this for me so I don't drop the microphone and, more importantly, the coin. Thank you for taking the time to come down the long drive and to share your words of inspiration with the college.
Oh, that's
In recognition of that, we want to share with you the LCCC commemorative coin.
Oh,
This one
that's
is
lovely.
numbered with a 45 to recognize the year that the founding language was and legislation was hatched, if you will, to establish the wonderful community colleges in Wyoming. So thank you for all you've done for community colleges, for Wyoming,
Well,
and certainly for joining us as we kick off this fall
Well,
semester.
that's lovely. That ought to get a lot on eBay.
Pete Simpson.
Thank you. Thank you. Really nice.
Well, I find myself in somewhat of a conundrum because I'm supposed to follow you somehow. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, but we actually have some time. We are going to take a break. We are supposed to reconvene at 10:45. Why don't we see if we can do that at 10:30? Then I can start my remarks and either take up an extra 15 minutes or get you out 15 minutes earlier. So go ahead, stretch your legs, refill your coffee cups or your juice, and then come back here in about 20 minutes.